ranch in Las Colinas with the executive producer and director and writer and actor of Gray Agenda, Mr. Larry Stanley. I'm Doyle King. Thanks for being here today. We appreciate everybody coming out for the world premiere. I said, ladies and gentlemen, it's the world premiere of Gray Agenda, live from the ranch in Las Colinas. Oh, wait, we're not at the Sportatorium. And we're not here for me. We're here for Larry and his new movie.
Hey, yeah, Gray Agenda, 2 years in the making. It's about aliens. It's a fun movie.
That's it? That's all you got? It's a fun movie?
Aren't you the reporter? Aren't you supposed to ask me questions, or you just want me to talk?
Well, tell us, how did you get the idea?
Okay, so there's this guy named Philip Snyder on YouTube, and somehow I was just surfing YouTube. I don't even know what I was surfing for because I wasn't into aliens. And I found this guy, Philip Snyder, who came out in the 90s and spoke about an underground base in Dulce, New Mexico. And he claims that aliens run the base and they do a lot of experiments on humans in the space. And it's like top secret. And he claimed he was there and he shot gray aliens and stuff like that. And I was like, man, that's a really cool story. And I actually reached out to his family and said Hollywood owned his rights. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to change the story. Not shooting in New Mexico because I don't have a budget to go to New Mexico. And I grew up in Cedar Hills, Texas. So what better place to shoot it than Joe Pool Lake?
I noticed that you said that Joe Pool Lake was Cedar Hill when it's actually Grand Prairie. That's my hometown, by the way.
It's an argument. I think both cities have.
It is Cedar Hill State Park that has shoreline all the way around there.
Yes.
And if you call for 911 ambulance service, Cedar Hill comes out and responds.
See, we've got a legitimate claim too.
so about shooting at Joe Pool Lake, I understand that there were some problems that arose.
Yeah. So we shot this in 2015, and that was when. So when we shot this, I wanted permission to shoot at Joe Pool Lake, but the Army Corps of Engineers responded to my email about permission, saying, due to the content of your film, we're not going to give you permission to shoot.
The what? The content?
Yeah, due to the content, because they asked me what the movie was about. I was like, an alien base. And they're like, due to the content of your film, you're not going to be able to shoot at Joe Pool Lake. I go, that's fine. We'll go to Lake Whitney. I've shot at Lake Whitney before.
Okay.
And they're like, that's an Army Corps of Engineers lake too.
Oh,
I was like, I'll go to Lake Arlington. They go, well, that's between you and the city of Arlington. And thank you, city of Arlington, for giving me permission to shoot there.
All right.
So yeah, Lake Arlington, the city of Arlington was great, very supportive. The cops actually came to set a couple of times, and it was a great shooting in Arlington. But the Army Corps of Engineers would not give us permission to shoot. I don't know if it was because really we're doing aliens, but it was also 2015 and Jade Helm 15 was going on at the time, which was a top.
Ooh, Jade Helm. Ooh.
Which was
how did that turn out? Anyway, it was exercises, right?
Yeah, so I don't know if those top secret stuff going on at Joe Pool Lake we couldn't see and film. They didn't want us filming. I think that has more to do with it than the content of the film, but it's still an interesting story.
So tell us how Joe Pool Lake came into being and a little bit about the storyline of the film.
Well, I mean, like I said, I grew up in Cedar Hill, and I remember being a kid when they dug Joe Pool Lake out,
right.
And I just thought, hey, that's an interesting lake to. I remember it being man-made, and there was no reason for it. And I also remember in Cedar Hill the devil worshippers. You remember Mount Lebanon? There was a bunch of devil worshippers.
Right.
So I'm like, I can take that story instead of devil worshippers. That was the cover, and aliens was the real excuse for the cow mutilation and stuff going on out there, and that's all in the movie.
Okay, so tell us the premise of the movie, a little bit about the storyline.
Okay, so Gray Agenda is about Denise. She goes missing. Carly Capra plays Denise, and she goes missing, and there's other people that go missing, and people can't figure it out. And a military guy that's disappeared that grew up in Cedar Hill returns back to town, and he's telling people, hey, you know what? He doesn't want to tell people what's going on, but he knows what's going on, so he kind of guides you through the story. His characters get abducted, and they let him go. It's a winding, twisted story, and I don't know, it's fun.
And we'll get to see it in a minute or two. I hope, right?
We'll see it in an hour, God willing.
And you can see it anytime on
Amazon Prime or MagGTV. So that's where you can find it. Amazon Prime, it's free if you're an Amazon Prime member. And then MagGT on Roku, you can see it there as well.
I understand that there was 2 years of editing on this film.
Yeah, and you know what? I almost lost this film because I accidentally deleted half of it once it was edited. So that was part of the delay.
What?
And then my little Mac Mini couldn't handle the special effects I was doing, so I just finally had to go, screw it. I'm putting way in what will work. I'll be honest, this isn't the Avengers. There's some flaws in this movie, but if you can look past the flaws of a $10,000 movie, I think you'll have a lot of fun with it.
Now, is this your first film?
This is my 5th film.
Your 5th film?
Yeah.
You want to talk about any of the others? Or?
Sure. There's An Innocent Hell. I don't know if you can still get it, but it may be on Amazon somewhere. Mr. Happy Pants, which Terry Vanderhayden right there, and Jason Rowe, who are also involved in this film.
We're going to talk to them a little later.
Yeah, they were involved with Mr. Happy Pants. Proud Souls, Andy Bowles in New York.
It sounds dirty, man. Was it a porno?
No. It was just about a guy that likes to drink, and his groomsmen hate his bride, so they kidnap him and get him drunk before his wedding. That's going to be on Mag GTV soon, too. Proud Souls, Aliens and Demons. That was Andy Bowles directed that one in New York. What am I missing here? Decisions, Sex and Drugs, Drama, and then this one, so 5.
All right. Mr. Larry Stanley,
right.
Gray Agenda coming up here.
Real quick before I go, I got to go do a podcast, but special thanks to Terry Vanderhayden, associate producer, Carly Capra is associate producer, Jason Rowe, executive producer, writing the checks, which got pretty
He's got the tab tonight. Yeah, big round of applause.
Give it up for Jason Rowe and and Jonathan Goodhines, first AD. Couldn't have done without him. Suzanne Rock, second AD. Those guys were great. Had a great career on this film too. I just want to get that out there.
Larry Stanley, thanks.
Thank you, man.
We're here for the world premiere of Gray Agenda. I'm Doyle King. We're standing here with Carly Capra and the gray alien from Gray Agenda. We're having a good time out here at the ranch in Las Colinas. Not only are you one of the actresses in the film, but you have a technical role as well, don't you?
I was also associate producer, and I did some of the special effects in the movie.
Oh, you were telling me about that. Now, how did that come about?
Just needed some things on set, and I picked up where things needed to be done.
Now, things. When we talk about things, what things?
Pretty much did anything that needed to be done on set.
Special effects. I mean, you were talking about like guts.
I
right?
did. Yeah, I made the heart. I made the intestines, all from scratch and all natural.
So we're gonna see
ingredients.
some gore in this film.
You will see a little bit, yes.
And you did that.
Yes, and I also made an alien hand.
What does it do? Does it crawl along the floor?
I can't really tell you.
You'll have to watch the film to see. So how was it working with Larry? How did you get started? Well, let's go back a little bit and step back to how you got started acting.
How I got started acting, wow, that was many years ago.
Couldn't have been that many.
It was. Over 10 years I've been acting.
Nice.
Always started out in modeling, pretty much, and then always wanted to act. So I just started getting out there. I made my first movie, and I won Best Actress, and ever since then I've just had a passion for it. So I love being on set. Being behind the camera is much harder now that I've done it. I've seen that it's a lot harder to be behind the camera. A lot more work goes into it, and I applaud everybody that takes all of that time and energy to put into a film, because it is a lot of work.
So let's talk about how you got involved in Gray Agenda.
Well, Larry approached me for the part of Denise, and we met, and I said yes, of course.
And this happened at a bar, at a mixer?
Well, I met him at a mixer about 6 months previously.
Uh-huh.
And I guess he had known me. We just knew each other through other people, and then he came to me through a message, and he said, "I'd like you to be in my movie. Can you come and meet with me, and we'll talk about it and see if you like it?" And I said yes. I thought it was a great script, and even though the story kind of revolves around my character, you don't really see me that much, but it's just a cool movie. It was a great idea, and
Sounds like you enjoyed it.
I did, and he's very artistic.
What was your favorite part of making the movie?
my favorite part of making the movie. I did enjoy doing the special effects. That was interesting. I can honestly say I'll never make intestines from scratch ever again in my life. That was totally disgusting. But I learned a lot, and it was 8 months of every weekend, constant work, and it was one of the greatest things I've ever done.
How cool!
I learned.
How cool is that? And I understand now that you've been fianced to Larry.
Yes. Yes, we were not an item before the movie, but then
So have you set the date?
we have, and then have been postponing. Life gets in the way, so.
It does. It does sometimes. What was the most fun that you had making the movie?
Honestly, probably the hardest I laughed on set was when John Baran could not get his line down for one little line, and it was, "This is your get out of free jail." What is it?
Get out of jail
I can't
free
even
card?
say it because he screwed it up so many times. "This is your get out of jail free card," and he could not get the line down. And I'm holding the boom, recording this, and there's like video of it. I'm just crying, laughing. That was hysterical. That was good, John. Good. You'll never live that down.
We're going to see Dre Agenda. Its world premiere is here today, live from the ranch in Las Colinas. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are here at the live world premiere of Gray Agenda, and well, maybe we ought to drink a toast to the world premiere.
World premiere. No, where else
Everybody's
could it be?
everybody's having a good time out here at the ranch in Las Colinas. We want to thank the folks for inviting us out and allowing us to screen the movie, even though it's been released to Amazon now for a couple of 2 or 3 weeks. It's out there.
Got a couple of reviews on that too.
With its flaws, as Larry was talking about earlier. But my friend here is Tim Newkirk. He plays A.W. in the film, and I don't know what A.W.'s character is. I do know that he was named after A.W. Pantoja, who is the guy that worked for Young Country, a radio station in Dallas, Texas, whose most notorious act on the radio was to tell listeners that there was a $100 bill hidden in a library book in the Fort Worth downtown library, and it got mobbed. People went down there pulling books off the shelves and probably did $10,000 worth of damage. Radios, yeah. I mean, it looked like a madhouse. I mean, everybody was just pulling books off the shelves and turning them upside down. So that's who your character is named after. Little background on that guy, whether you wanted to hear it or not. We're here. So what is your character, and how did you get involved in the film?
Well, I play A.W. He's a military ops guy. He disappeared for about 3 or 4 years. He's hiding from something, and he returns for mysterious circumstances, as we find out later in the film, of why he's there. And he's essentially investigating some alien going-ons around the Joe Pool Lake area.
So this is a Mulder type character, or
the truth may be out there, yes.
So how did you get involved in the film?
I ran into Larry. There was actually an audition notice. It's a low-budget indie film here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and Larry was looking for some actors. And I actually was auditioning for a smaller Men in Black, Matrix-type guy character, and
In this film?
In this film, yeah. And I thought that was the part that was most suitable for me. And Larry saw something else, and he wanted me to read for A.W., and I ended up getting cast as A.W.
That's cool. What's some of your background as, before you got involved in this film?
I've done a lot of low-budget movies. I have like about 3 movies on Amazon right now. Blood Reunion, Jebediah Zach. So this is a...
indie films here out of Dallas?
Indie films, all shot in Dallas. I've been on Walker, Texas Ranger.
Nice.
I've had couple plays that I wrote, produced here in Dallas.
So are you enjoying those 36-cent residual checks from Walker?
Yeah, that's right. They just keep coming in.
I got to play the part, which was a real stretch for me. If folks don't know, I was involved in world-class wrestling and global wrestling and a lot of the independent promotions in Dallas-Fort Worth with Tim Brooks and Gary Hart and some of those old-time wrestlers. But the folks from Walker, Texas Ranger, whoever cast, called down to the Sportatorium looking for ring announcers for a kickboxing match that they were going to do at the Sportatorium. And they got a hold of the janitor. And they asked, who is your ring announcer? And he said, well, that's old Doyle King. Yeah, so the janitor got me the job on Walker, and I did a couple of episodes, and I think the last residual I got was when it played overseas. So they spent 50 cents to mail me a 6-cent check.
That's bureaucracy for you.
But so tell me, what was the coolest moment that you had making the film, or the most fun or spine tingling?
Well, they actually gave me a gun, so that was kind of fun to actually learn how a Navy SEAL or an special op would actually handle a gun and would track the prey. And so I thought that was kind of cool because it was something I had never done before. And that's what I like being an actor, is because I get myself into situations that I normally wouldn't be involved in, and it gives me the opportunity to learn something new.
So how did you go about that?
There actually had some people on set that were professional that showed me how to handle the gun, how not to handle it, and so that I would look, maybe somewhat like I was actually that guy.
I know, because you look at some films sometimes and you go, no way! Yeah. Oh my God, that would never happen. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, if you don't handle a weapon, then people, once they lose that believability, then you've lost, them following your character or even caring about your character. But if they say, well, yeah, that, I buy that, then they care about how your character, what happens to him.
Well, that's cool. I know that you had a lot of fun making this film, and it was a long 8-month process. How many weekends do you think you spent on set?
I don't know. I don't really consider it work. I enjoy it. So, I mean, I would spend, 8 more months if it was a good film and it was under really good experience. Larry's a great director, and he was organized. I think I would not like to shoot in the hot summer months. We had several of those, and we had to shoot underground in some areas, so you can imagine if it was hot out there, how hot it was inside. Yeah, inside a parking. Yeah, it was.
Kind of know how that goes, being cooped up in the Sportatorium, a tin barn with 5,000 people. And a couple of box fans, and no air in there, man. Down ringside, it's 120 degrees. I was wearing the suit, tuxedo as always. But what do you have planned for the future, Tim?
I'm working on another film that I actually directed and I'm acting in, and that's going to be released probably by the end of the year. It's called Roram. And so we're just doing some final editing and post, laying down music, and that should be ready to be screened probably in November.
Well, thanks a lot. We appreciate you being here, and congratulations on the world premiere of Gray Agenda.
Thank you so much.
We're here for the world premiere of Gray Agenda. We caught up with the executive producer and actor in Gray Agenda here at the ranch in Las Colinas this hot Texas afternoon. Jason Rowe.
How you doing?
I'm all right.
All right.
I'm great.
Awesome.
Man, I'm having a great time, man.
Oh, me too.
Larry's provided the party, and we're here for the premiere. And even though it's been out on Amazon for a couple of weeks, shame, Larry. How'd you do that, man? But anyway, so tell us a little bit about how you got involved in the movie, first of all.
So Larry and I hooked up, probably 6 years ago on a movie, and we've been doing them ever since. I think this is our 5th, I want to say, but I have to give Larry Stanley credit for this one because I'd started a new career and I was really busy, so he really took the reins and took care of this movie. I had little to do with it other than some financial help and a little monologue. But other than that, Larry really took the reins and took care of this movie. And what I love about him the most is he finishes stuff. And a lot of independent film makers don't quite finish, and they want to do it again and remake it again.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Larry finishes. I have to give him credit.
You're telling me somebody shoots a movie and then doesn't release it?
All the time. All the time.
Why? I mean,
Well, they want to redo it, and they want to get it so perfect that, look, it's independent film. You have to just move on. And
Larry's already told us that this film is not perfect by any means.
right, and most independent films aren't. You know, you have continuity directors and things like that these big production companies can hire, and we're using people that have been with our community, if you will, making these films that chip in behind the scenes, and they're actors and actresses, and they're helping with continuity, and they're helping with shadowing and lighting and things like that they don't have formal training on. So we really put it together, and the good thing about Slow Roy Entertainment is we finish it. We at least finish a product so the actors and actresses can look at them and go, okay, I'm part of a finished product, put it on my resume, and move on.
I got you.
Yeah.
So you can move. It's a way to advance your career.
Absolutely.
Instead of having it not put out.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be so frustrating.
Yeah, and let's be honest, if we were all multimillionaires, we'd probably be doing this for our career. But all of us have real jobs because this is our passion, but we're not going to be starving artists. We actually want to eat. So we do this on the weekends, or weekend warriors, if you will. And I know what you know that's about.
That was my old handle from Q102, if you remember. Texas Best Rock and Radio in Dallas-Fort Worth, which probably means nothing to anybody that's watching this right now. But it was a lot of fun.
It's so much fun. It's our passion, and our goal is, I mean, we would love to get picked up by a major corporation, but that's not our goal. We just love making movies, and it's fun for us. It is our passion,
right?
And we'll continue to do it. We got another couple of scripts coming out, and we're gonna keep rolling on.
Right on. So, 8 months of filming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
2 years. 2 years of editing.
It is so difficult to get sound and color and quality when you're limited on what you're using to produce a movie. We
the technical aspect, cameras,
all
microphones.
of it. People don't. It's so funny, Doyle. I run into people all the time like, I want to be in one of your movies. I'm like, okay, well, for every 10 minutes of film, you're going to be there about 15 hours. Are you okay with that? And they're like, right. Oh wow. It's so difficult. I mean, the tights and the wides and Terry is the amazing cinematographer that he knows. Okay, I got it. Now cut. Let's move on. But it's so difficult to get every piece of that puzzle put together, and then the sound on top of it. You know, when you see someone dancing in a movie, there's no music.
Right.
They're just dancing.
Right.
And then they add the music on top of it.
Right.
People don't know that. You know.
I was in an episode of Walker, Texas Ranger, and I was amazed at what they did. It was 6 takes of everything.
Oh yeah. Every now and then you get a one-take wonder. Larry's not one of those, by the way. But you got to do it again, and you got to do it again, and you got to say the same lines, and then you start building that character, and it's difficult. And the fact that Larry took off with this project and he had help, but he didn't have a whole lot of help because I wasn't there, Terry wasn't there, and he just made it happen. And there's something to be said about that. When you don't pay your actors other than food and some gas money, it's hard to get and consolidate all those individuals to show up every weekend and put those hours in.
Right.
And he did it, and I'm proud of it. I watched the movie. We turned in notes and all that kind of good stuff on editing, and he took off with it and finished it. And I couldn't be more proud of the guy.
Well, I know that Larry at one time approached me to be in one of his movies, and I had acted in high school, and we were in the one act plays, and I went to Coppell, and we went to state every year in the one act plays, and we never won, and we'll blame it on the judge loving comedies in our junior year, and we did a drama, and then the judge loving dramas in our senior year, and we did a comedy.
There you go.
But it was a lot of fun, and he did approach me to be a sheriff in a movie. I don't. You said you've been involved in all of his movies.
Yeah.
This was one. I want to think that it was set in Lake Whitney or something. I don't know, but the time requirement to do this, and
it's a commitment. It's a commitment. You're
I
going to give up a lot of weekends.
Right.
For sure.
I got a boat, and I love to go to the lake, and that's what I do on the weekends. But I saw that it was just going to be, so I didn't say, oh, yeah, I'd love to do that, and then be a no-show.
Right.
Oh, God, that's good. You got all the production. Everybody's there
Yeah.
waiting on this one guy. He's a big character or even a side character.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't show.
Yep, it happens, and you just have to move on.
Oh.
If you can replace them, awesome. But a lot of times you just have to kind of edit around it and act around it. And so it's a lot different. It's a lot more difficult to do an independent film because you run into situations like that, and you have to be able to adapt. And Larry Stanley has been able to adapt every single film we've done. I mean, the wind blowing in Whitney. Oh my gosh, the wind.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing, and we adapted to it. And
So all you hear is,
hair's blowing around, and people are getting sick. And
sorry, sound guy. I know I blew your mic out there. But okay, so we've talked about this film a little bit, and what it takes in the making of it. What a time requirement, and you really have to have a passion and love what you do. What advice would you give to a young actor who wants to get started but doesn't really know how? I mean,
well, you can search for auditions for sure. They're out there. They're posted everywhere. Just start Googling it. But I can tell you this: do your homework on the character, show up for the audition, and be passionate about what you're doing. If you were to get a role, understand the fact that you're out of 100, you're going to get 99 no's. Embrace that. It's okay. They're going to tell you no. Either you're too old, too young, too fat, too skinny, not good looking enough. I mean, look at this face. It's really hard to put enough makeup on this. But if you love it, you're going to nail something. And then when that happens on independent films, show up every day and work your ass off. And you'll eventually start learning a lot about camera, because a lot of our independent actors are really started with stage, right? But when you're on camera, you don't have to talk to the guy in the the 18th row of the stadium. You can really just talk.
And I've noticed that I'll bet you have never been on television.
A couple of times,
because you're talking to
that
guy right there, not to me, but to that guy. So I can always tell an actor that has been in a film, because they'll never look at you in the camera. It's been so fun talking to you, and we're having such a good time out here at the ranch in Las Colinas.
Yeah,
and we appreciate everything that you've done with Larry. What's in the future?
There's a couple of films. There's a comedy coming up. It's gonna be. There's a comedy coming up. It's gonna be hilarious. Rich, he and I we really bonded on Mr. Happy Pants, and would go off on some serious
Larry's first pornographic film.
Mr. Happy Pants, not a porn. And then after that, there's a little more serious film about a country singer that's not making it, and he fakes the fact that he has leukemia, and he gets the crowd buy-in. He starts getting successful.
Oh my God!
And he faked it, and he starts dating a nurse, and she realizes, you don't have leukemia. You're not going through a bone marrow transplant. So, we're all over the board, and we do it because of real life stories that we've been in, Gray Agenda not being one of them. But all this stuff really happens in life, and I think that's why Decisions has done so well that we did. It's about a guy that was addicted to drugs, and he's dating his best friend's older sister. And everyone, even Switzerland and Germany, we're getting a lot of hours spent watching that film because everyone can relate to that film. And so we're starting to get some momentum on our movies, just because we've learned from our mistakes, and every film we do gets a little better and a little better and a little better. So you watch Mr. Happy Pants, and then you watch Decisions, and you can tell a totally different ball game when it comes to that, and then Gray Agenda. So the better we do, we keep our passion.
Right.
The more money we can invest into it, and say, hey, you know what? we're not making a whole lot of money off of it, but at least we're getting something back.
We got
and,
by.
and we're getting some feedback back
Yeah,
off of it.
yeah.
So that's more important than even the money off of it.
Where can you see these films?
Happy
Pants.
Amazon,
And does it-
Amazon. Amazon is a big one. Amazon really is our key.
Are they pirated to YouTube?
Huh?
You don't want to answer that, do you?
They may be. I don't know. Let me Google that for you.
Thanks so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Our friend and such a great time with Gray Agenda out here at the ranch in Las Colinas. I'm Doyle King. We have more coming up. It's Savannah Lowe at the ranch, and you were telling me a minute ago how your character was the first to die, or the last.
The last to die, which I feel very accomplished because in these movies, you never know if you're going to make it to the end.
Five beers down.
I did get cut up.
You got cut up.
I did get cut up. I had to sacrifice myself. It was between my character and Carly's character, and we were both lying on the operation table. There was only one person to save. And I wasn't chosen to
It wasn't you.
It was not me.
That'd be bad if it was a television series.
It would.
The end of residual checks.
It'd be all over for me. Thankfully,
So,
that was not the end.
How did you get involved in the film?
I actually saw the film listed on an acting website, and just the plot absolutely enamored me. I love aliens and sci-fi, so I decided to audition. Would you like to say something, sir?
Say something to the microphone. always know when you put the mic down.
Right, exactly. And it was a blast from start to finish. It was so much fun to be a part of.
What was the most fun part that you had?
Probably the dying scene. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. The corn syrup, Oh, I can't give away the secrets, But the blood and the gore and the action, that was a lot of fun.
So, did you said you saw the ad?
Yes, I did.
The film and applied.
Right.
How much was the time commitment?
It was a bunch. You gotta come on scene. You gotta do the rehearsals. You gotta do the read-throughs. It was a pretty big hunk of time that I spent. And I wouldn't take back any of it, though. I tell you, that was a lot of fun.
What advice would you give to a young actor trying to get into acting, especially? Would you start with independent films like this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that independent films are where it's really at as far as experience. You have to go from start to finish, and you get to be kind of a part of the production as a whole instead of just somebody who's wheeled in for one particular scene, like being an extra, and then wheeled out. You get to see how it's made, and that's really important to being an actor, to know what all goes into it as far as the entire production instead of just your one minuscule part.
Introduce your family.
This is my family. This is my grandmother, my mother's best friend, Lisa, her husband, JJ, my father, Bill, and this is Hunter, my fiance, and this is our son, Luca.
So how did you like giving up your weekends for 8 months?
Oh, this was actually, wasn't this before we started dating? Or this is right before her and I started dating. I actually had no idea that she was doing the movie until we heard the announcement about the release. And then she's like, oh, by the way, right before we started dating, I did this movie. And I was like, okay.
Right on. Now, you didn't have any part in the film, did you?
No, I did not have a part in the film, and I've never actually seen it before, or even seen parts of it before, so I'm excited.
First, yeah, we're gonna all see it in just a sec right here at the ranch in Las Colinas. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention up here to the main stage. My name's Doyle King. I'm glad to host this event for the world premiere of Gray Agenda, at least the world premiere live of Gray Agenda. Somehow, Mr. Stanley, the executive producer of Gray Agenda, released this to Amazon 2 weeks early, and I'm sure it's already pirated to YouTube.
It wasn't me, it was the network. It was Managing TV that released it to Amazon Prime. They released it.
Well, I'm glad that you are here today. And thanks everybody for showing up. How about a round of applause for the world premiere, huh? Nice. I know you have a lot to talk about, a lot of people to thank, and this movie is some 2 years in the making.
Well, it's an indie film, guys, so there's not a big budget on this thing. That man right there financed most of it, Jason Rowe, who's actually picking up my bar tab tonight. I don't know if he knows that or not. But
Hey, mine too. Yeah, next time.
special thanks to everybody that was involved with this project. See a lot of cast and crew out there. Carly Capra, associate producer, and Denise. Andrew Sattler right over here, played one of the leads. Judy. Tim Newkirk right over there, he played AW. James Pruitt's back there, he had a role in the film too, named James. I want to thank these guys for coming out. Full Spectrum VR, the podcast over there, they got some VR stuff you can check out after the movie. So the movie's called Gray Agenda, it's on Amazon Prime. I'll be honest, it didn't turn out like I wanted to, but it did turn out. I mean, it's a good, if you can look past the indie film flaws, I think it's a good story and I think you'll like it. So seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank everybody that came out today to support this project. Big thanks to the ranch at Las Colinas. Give it up for this gorgeous video.
Ranch, let's have it. World premiere of Gray Agenda.